1. Abusive Theo is caught out. Christina and Summer tell Glenda and Sarah that George thinks Theo is abusing Todd, and they're horrified that Todd has been suffering in silence. Todd hears them all discussing him and leaps to Theo's defense, but George doesn't believe a word. Gary is skeptical when Sarah shares her concerns over Theo, but when she lists all the incidents that point to domestic abuse, realization dawns. When Gary sees Todd preparing to enter the flat, he offers to accompany him. Hearing a key in the door, Theo shouts abuse and reels when he realizes that Gary has heard everything. 2. George plans an escape route for Todd. At the yard, Gary hands over Theo's tools and sacks him. Theo accuses him of overreacting, and a furious Gary warns him to watch his back. Meanwhile, George gives Todd a hold-all and explains it's his escape bag, containing everything he'll need to leave Theo when the time comes. 3. George has his day in court. George is shocked to see Adam and Alia with Damien Ripley, and it's clear Damien has agreed to testify against him. George begs Adam and Alia to drop the case, but they refuse. Later in the week, a terrified George sits in court with Christina and Glenda by his side. What will the verdict be? 4. Todd's decision shocks his loved ones. When Theo finds Todd's escape bag in the flat, Todd lies that it's a present from George, who he's told about their Belfast move. Theo heads to the bistro to question George, while a horrified Summer and Sarah discover Todd's plans with Theo. After George's hearing, Todd finds him in the pub. George questions Todd's motives for leaving for Belfast, but Todd changes the subject. Can George, Sarah and Summer convince Todd not to go? 5. Ben urges Will to stop defending Megan Ollie, urges Will to stop covering for Megan and put his own well-being first. Ben also insists it's time Will gave up defending Megan, trying to make him see how she's torn his life and family apart. Can Ben open Will's eyes to the fact that he's been groomed and abused? Ben and Eva hold out hope that Will stays away from Megan, oblivious to the fact that he's actually visiting her at her new flat. 6. Tim faces up to his past. Sally sympathizes with Ben about what's happened to Will and shares that Tim was groomed by a woman in her 20s when he was just 14. As Tim plays it down, Ben tells him he's deluded. Tim soon admits to Sally that Ben's words have made him question his relationship with Tricia, so he's going to contact her for answers. Tim explains to Sally and Steve that he's heard nothing from Tricia, and Sally reckons Tricia has gone into hiding, knowing she's in the wrong. Now that Tim has acknowledged Tricia's abuse, will he be able to overcome his demons? 7. Maggie lands herself in trouble after clashing with Megan. Maggie warns Megan to stay away from Will, but it's not long before Lisa informs Maggie that Megan has reported her for assault. She denies doing anything to Megan, but after being questioned by Lisa, Maggie visits Megan for another showdown. What will she find? 8. Secretive Maggie slips up in front of Ben. Maggie corners Will about being in love with Megan and says that the baby was clearly his. Eva and Ben hear the commotion, and Ben rounds on Maggie for trying to bully the truth out of Will. But when Ben says it would have been better if Maggie had died instead of his dad, Maggie's response makes Ben suspicious. Maggie is still harbouring the secret that the late Jim MacDonald was Ben's biological father, but is she about to unravel her own web of lies? 9. Lou steps up for Debbie now. As she and Lou head to their cells, Debbie suddenly becomes disorientated. Later, Debbie accuses a prison officer of stealing her journal. Worried that Debbie will jeopardize her appeal, Lou starts a fight with another inmate to cause a distraction. Kevin and Jack visit, telling Debbie that Adam is optimistic about her appeal. As Debbie struggles to open a carton of orange juice, Jack comes to her aid. When Lou gives Debbie a lucky clover that she made in woodwork class, saying it's for good luck at her appeal tomorrow, Debbie is touched. Will things go her way? Actress Farrell Hegarty has confirmed she's completed filming for Coronation Street following this planned short stint, so viewers will have to make the most of Lou while they can. 10. Daniel struggles to deal with Megan's lies. Having fallen for Megan, Daniel is deeply affected by the reality of her true colours. Daniel confides in Ken that Megan simply used him as a cover while grooming Will. Ken is concerned to see his son so bitter. 11. Mal drops a bombshell. Mal drops a bombshell on Dev before telling Bernie that once Dev dumps her, he'll be waiting in the wings. Dev is stunned, though he later makes clear to Kit that he knows he attacked Mal. After another turbulent few days, Dev tells Bernie he's taking her for dinner and wants them to forget about Mal, and she's delighted. But as the couple head out, Mal watches from the shadows. What will his next move be? 12. Jodie turns the tables on suspicious Bethany. Bethany shows Jodie a photo of a guy she's arranged a date with after meeting online. But when an upset Bethany confides in Jodie that her date, Ethan, stood her up and had the nerve to accuse her of cancelling, Jodie feigns sympathy. Bethany casually asks David whether he did any background checks on Jodie's child-minding credentials. Soon Bethany paints on a smile and suggests going for another drink with Jodie. Then a tipsy Daniel has a go at Bethany for her past behaviour, and Jodie jumps to her defence. As Bethany begins to warm to Jodie, what is Jodie's game?